Ooh, what's good on my stock market homies? In today's video, we're going to be talking about Hyliion stock. I got the green money suit on, so you know we're breaking down Hyliion stock. It has been a long few months for Hyliion investors. This stock has been absolutely decimated. But the other day, I was watching Thomas Healy, the Hyliion CEO, interviewed by Yahoo Finance. And what he said during that interview, I liked it a lot. You guys know that I'm a big Hyliion bull. I'm heavily invested in the stock, and I keep adding on this current crash. So today, let's take a look at what Thomas Healy had to say, how it applies to the company going forward, some recent updates regarding Hyliion stock. We're going to be breaking down all things Hyliion in today's video, so you're going to want to stay tuned and destroy the like button, because the like button is not our friend. Also, if you want to get some free money, 2 free stocks valued up to $1,850, that's right, that's some big free money. Check out the link in the description for Webull. You can now trade Dogecoin on Webull. Some awesome news there. All right, let's jump into this interview with Thomas Healy and see what he had to say. I think it's some pretty big news. It's a pretty big deal, and nobody's talking about it. Let's get it. Right here, we are trading at $45 a share, almost $60 a share at the highs. And then the sell-off happens, we jump off a cliff. But what is different regarding Hyliion stock from $60 down to $8? Absolutely nothing. The stock has been crushed. There's been some market manipulation. You've had retail traders panic out of their positions because they don't know what they're doing, and it's just created a mass exodus in the company. But from a fundamental standpoint, nothing has changed, and Thomas Healy's interview the other day reinforced my conviction in Hyliion. Let's take a look at it.
Of trucks, but it's not just that. And one company, Austin, Texas-based EV company Hyliion, has been working on that. They recently announced the formation of a collaboration with trucking fleet leaders representing over 100,000 Class 8 commercial trucks globally, the likes of Wagmans, AB InBev, and logistics giant Werner Enterprises, weighing in on Hyliion's technology to roll out their hybrid electric drivetrains for trucks. And for more on that, I want to bring on the founder and CEO of Hyliion, Thomas Healy, joins us once again here. And Thomas, good to have you back on. We were talking to you last time, right when you guys completed your SPAC merger to publicly trade, and you've made some progress here. The formation of this council seems interesting. Talk to me about what you're trying to do with that to really learn from your customers what they're looking for now.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me back on again. And last week we announced the formation of this group of fleets. You mentioned a couple of them. We also have fleets like Ryder and Penske and Schneider in this mix as well here.
So the interview starts off with Thomas Healy saying that Hyliion has formed this coalition of a bunch of these fleet companies, and they're going to be taking a look at the Hyliion technology. They're going to be taking a look at the truck itself. I think this is absolutely huge news. We're talking about companies like Ryder and Penske that are going to have their eyeballs on this technology, and it gets even better later on in the interview. But just imagine companies like Penske, they're there, the executives are there. They know that the industry is transitioning away from diesel, but they're scared. They don't trust EV. And why should they? The range is subpar. You have to deal with this expensive EV charging infrastructure. The technology is not ready, but government legislation is ready. So what do? And that's where a company like Hyliion that uses natural gas so your range is extended comes into play.
And really, our goal is to pull together some of the leaders in this industry who operate a bunch of vehicles, who are really driving this shift towards electrification, and pull them in to actually start working with us early here in the development of our technology, so that as we go and roll it out with these fleets, we know that our solution is going to be the right fit. We're bringing forward electrified products to this market, but we're doing it in a unique way where we actually produce the electricity on the vehicle as opposed to needing to use the grid. And so, it's really offering a fleet the best of electrification, but not the downsides of range anxiety and high charging costs. And so, we're really thrilled to be working with these fleets to make sure we offer them the best solution out there.
This is a huge deal because he's going to go to these fleets, right? You're going to have all these fleets, these huge companies that you're trying to do deals with sitting in the same room. And Thomas Healy, the genius that he is, he's going to say, what are you guys looking for? What do you want today in a truck that will have you to switch from diesel, what you are operating today, and switch to our solution or any EV solution? Because you're going to have to sooner or later as these government regulations start to be rolled out. And the fleet executives are going to say, obviously, we want a long range. We don't have to stop every 300 miles and charge up this truck. We want a truck that will handle wear and tear. And Thomas Healy is going to say, wait a second. Well, that's exactly what our truck is. We have over 1,000-mile range. Our payload capacity crushes the competition. The natural gas infrastructure is already in place, and these trucking fleets are going to become Hyliion customers. I honestly believe that, and I think today's price that we're trading at is just such a steal. It's been beaten down way below where it should be trading at based on where I see this company headed.
Yeah, it seems like the market right now is trying to digest which is the best solution, right? Because to your point, we've talked a lot about maybe going full electric and maybe some of the concerns that some of those customers out there might have when it comes to trucking. But Hyliion shares down about 60% since you completed that process in the SPAC merger back in October. I wonder right now what you need to show to kind of, I guess, manifest that growth or prove to investors that you're on the direction to hit the forecast you laid out when you completed that SPAC merger. Because is it going to be selling these trucks or getting a big name partner to sign on a certain amount of their fleets? What do you think it is that's going to need to really convince the market that going with the natural gas kind of machine on board these trucks is the right way to go?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things here. I mean, one is, continue to showing milestones like what we did a couple of days ago of announcing these fleets that we're working with. For us, we're in a little bit of a unique situation where we actually already have a product out on the road, our hybrid electric solution. That puts us ahead of, some of the other companies in this space in terms of getting electric products out there. And then, we also need to continue to, show milestones of getting more hyper trucks, doing demo trucks later this year with fleets, and then going into next year, really ramping up volume. So, we're on track to being able to achieve all those. And I think that's what's ultimately going to grow the long-term value in our organization.
Spot on. Long-term value. Thomas Healy does not give two craps about what's happened to the stock price over the last few months, and he absolutely shouldn't. He is focused on getting the company customers with these big fleets, and over time that will snowball into a $10 billion company. And you should not be focused on what's happened recently, because nothing, I keep saying this, but nothing has changed. So you're talking about a company that was trading at $60 a couple months ago. It's trading at $8.65 right now. But this interview really showed me that he still has belief that the numbers that he rolled out pre-merger, we have projected revenue numbers from pre-merger, that he still thinks that those numbers are achievable. And that is a really big deal, because if he came into this interview saying, we may be looking at 2023, 2024 before we see real revenue numbers, that would be a little bit scary. But he seems to think that they are still on track to start really ramping up manufacturing in early 2022, which is a big deal.
You talked about producing electricity in the vehicle. I wonder if you can talk a little more about the mechanics of all of this and why specifically you're not going all in on EVs but taking this route.
Yeah, so the trucking space is very different than passenger car, right? You think about, passenger cars, you're going to drive 30 miles a day or so. With trucking, some of these fleets are operating at 500-600 miles a day. And so when you think about trying to store all that electricity in a battery pack on the vehicle, the size of the battery, the weight of that battery, it becomes unrealistic. And so that's where we're taking approach for that long haul market, where we can actually use natural gas today on that vehicle to produce electricity to charge the batteries. And we can actually do that for cheaper and do it greener then you can buy electricity off of the grid. And then we even laid out a roadmap where in the future, we can actually use hydrogen to recharge that battery pack as well. And so, we see this as the logical approach for that long haul market. Once again, very different than passenger cars and what we're seeing happening there, though.
I think a lot of investors think that trucking and common consumer cars are the same thing, and that it can't be further from the truth. These truckers, they want to drive 600 miles straight. They want to drive as far as they can legally. I think you can drive for 8 hours straight, and then you got to take a break, or maybe it's 12 hours straight, and then you have to take a break. And the total EV solutions on the market, they just can't do that. The range isn't there, and even if it is there, once you hit that, you got to stop and you got to find a charging station, and it's just too much for these trucking fleets right now. Maybe 15, 20 years from now, as the technology improves, we'll migrate to a total EV solution in the Class 8 truck space. But today, we're not there. And that is why Hyliion is my highest conviction stock. And I continue to buy it, even though it's been beaten down. Every dollar it drops, I like it even more and more. All right, that's going to wrap up the interview. Let's talk about the chart. Let's take a look at the chart, and I'll talk to you guys about what I am doing with Hyliion and where I think it's headed from here. So we've been trading in this kind of choppy range. Let me switch here to the squiggly tool. So we've been trading in this choppy range, and we held the bottom of this range so far. And I think if you're looking to swing trade this, I think there's a really nice swing trade setting up where you could use the bottom of this range as your risk and look for this thing to head back towards $16, $17 in the short term. A really nice risk to reward ratio there. But long term, nothing is going to change until they start ramping up manufacturing. And we heard that that's not going to really happen until early 2022. So sure, there's going to be pops and there's going to be drops over the next several months until we get to the point where Hyliion is ramping up manufacturing. But none of that really matters until we see those numbers start coming out in early 2022, later 2022, and then I think we start to really rocket ship back towards $30, maybe even $40 a share in 2022. That said, I am excited about the prospects for Hyliion going forward. I think 2022 is going to be the year for Hyliion, and I just love it, love it, love it. This price. That's going to wrap up this Hyliion update. If you got something of value from it, destroy the like button for me. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until next time, deuces.